In 2 Corinthians chapter 12, the Apostle Paul writes about his thorn in the flesh that caused him such great pain and difficulty in his life that he pleaded with the Lord 3 times to remove it. And then he heard this reply in verse 9, "My grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness." And Paul then took a step of faith and accepted this thorn, this very difficult thorn in his life, as the will of God to show forth His power and His grace in and through Paul's life. And then Paul could also, through it all, know Christ. And he says, I want to know Christ and the power of His resurrection and the fellowship of sharing in His suffering. That's how we come to know the power of Christ's resurrection. And so what do when you come across these painful circumstances that we find ourselves in? Well, we pray, we plead with the Lord, just like Paul did 3 times. We plead and ask Him to remove it because Christ may very well move it, and we come to know Christ's power in that miraculous work, supernatural work. But if it remains, then we must come to the place where we accept this as the will of God. Not for the rest of our life, but for this season, no matter how long it is. Accept it as the will of God so that then you can open up your heart and in your weakness call out to Jesus. Jesus, You're all I've got. And Lord, help me. Give me Your strength. And you will experience the grace of God, bringing you the power of heaven, the power of His resurrection, to show forth in and through your life, through this circumstance, that Christ's power is sufficient. It'll show your faith being true and Christ being manifested by His Spirit in your life so that everyone can see this witness, that you are experiencing strength that they know doesn't come from you. A peace that passes all circumstances, transcends your circumstances, and a joy, just a deep-seated contentedness and well-being that comes from God alone. And so you will look back on this time in your journey in eternity and know that God willed it, you came to know it, you accepted it, and then Christ was made manifested in your life to the glory of His name in this world, and that will reverberate for all eternity, giving praise and glory and honor to God for your faithfulness as His servant and God's grace being shown to the world so that God's name be glorified. So wherever you are, whatever you do, may God's grace be with your spirit.